The last round of
Horror Show.
You gotta do something. Jason's alive. He killed my friend, now he's coming for me.
You gotta cool out, boy. You already almost got your head blown off.
Oh, you listen, damn it!
Don't piss me off, Junior. I will repaint this office with your brains.
Jason is alive. We dug up his body. I was gonna cremate him.
Hold it, whoa.
Happy Friday the 13th.
Hey!
You're watching and listening to the Last Roundup Horror Show. I'm Frank. This is Jason. That's Jared. We're talking Friday the 13th, and we really ingested a lot of Friday the 13th.
A lot of movies.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that Jared didn't watch these movies this time around.
I watched a handful of them.
Oh,
I recently
did
watched. Yeah, I recently watched the whole franchise.
He had
a few
to
months
for-
ago.
Yeah. Well, I didn't watch them again either because I just watched them maybe 3 months ago.
I had to because I forgot a lot of stuff.
Well, I watched 1 through 8 3 months ago, so I picked up on the rest of them.
I had never watched Never Hike Alone, so I did watch that.
You
And
did.
that was
All right.
new.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's just start where it starts off, man. The first Friday the 13th, 1980, a game changer. A group of camp counselors are stalked and murdered by an unknown assailant while trying to reopen a summer camp, which years before was the site of a child's drowning. This is the original recipe, directed by Sean Cunningham and written by Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham. This one I didn't really. This is the only one I didn't rewatch because was one of the first VHS tapes I ever owned, and I watched it like fucking nonstop. Of course, highlight for me is Kevin Bacon's death. I think it's the best scene, aside from Jason's mother being beheaded at the end. And judging it against the contrast of the other films, I think this is like a standalone thing because I can't compare this movie to a movie that has Jason Voorhees in it. It's drastically different, I feel. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't think it's drastically different, but it's also, is that 80?
Yeah, 1980.
Yeah, I mean, it's before slashers had gotten to camp. So this one, I think, holds more of that authentic trying to feel scary more than anything else. This one in part 2, more than any others.
This one, the original, has the feeling I wish the rest of them all had. Well, I know Jason isn't technically in this movie, but as far as the feel, like it's almost like a monster flick that they never show the monster. It has the feeling that I love. And it has the campground, camping, cabins, woods. Like that's my atmosphere. Like that's where I love my horror movies to be.
Yeah, this one and 2 I always felt were the most serious entries in the franchise. They weren't worried about laughs.
And Kevin Bacon's girlfriend, whatever her name is. Oh my god!
Yeah, there are some lovely ladies in these films. Speaking of part 2, that came out a year later, 1981. Anyways, this has the sackhead Jason. I wish they would have maybe did this for another movie actually because I like it so much. But this one was directed by Steve Miner, who, if you don't know who he is, he did The Warlock from The House and Soul Man. Huh? Anybody seen that? I love the sackhead thing. I think the one of the funniest things I noticed when I rewatched this was there's a part where the main counselor guy is telling them like to not keep their food out, and one of the things he mentions is that the women keep themselves clean to also not attract bears. And you don't get that enough in movies nowadays. It's a real sign of the times. A lot of really solid actresses in this movie. Really solid actresses.
It has a good final girl. I don't whatever her name is, which I guess she almost didn't end up being in this movie, but great final girl.
Yeah, and then they kill her off right at the beginning of the third one.
I think she was originally supposed to be in. Wait, make sure I'm not twisting them up. One is They kill her in 2. Yeah. The final girl in 2 was originally supposed to be in 3, but I think she turned it down.
Well, I thought
Or maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Don't they kill her at the beginning
Yeah,
of
she's
three?
in it just for a second.
Yeah.
They kill her in the beginning.
Yeah, Jason comes
3.
back and kills her at the beginning of that. And 3, the 3D. Has anyone seen that in 3D?
I'm pretty. Yeah, I think so.
She starts it off by.
Maybe I shouldn't watch these again.
Beginning of 3, they just recap.
But they show her. She is safe at the end of 2, and at the beginning of 3, he comes back and kills her.
At the end of 1, the final girl is at home, and Jason shows up and kills her.
Oh, we're all confused.
Yeah.
Jared's probably right.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, because 3 is 3 picks up the day after.
Well,
2.
anyway, yeah, there was some ill blood between her and the production company.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she had said no. But she was originally supposed to be the lead in 3 because she was a fan favorite.
This one's pretty high on my list, despite the kills being kind of lackluster, and because everything's focused to be 3D. Has anyone seen this in 3D?
Are we on to 3? Did we?
Yeah.
Jump? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say 2. The one thing in 2 is the machete to the face wheelchair down the steps.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Got to make mention of that.
Does
That's
that
one of
look
the
good
big-
or bad? What do you think?
I think it still looks good. That's one that's held up for me for.
Head's just rocking
for
man,
years.
all the way down the steps. But yeah, 3. Has anyone seen that in 3D actually?
I watched it in 3D at my house
But
with the red and blue,
but
but I can't see 3D.
that's a whole thing. He's got
Yeah, I got the 3D DVD. With
Yeah,
the glasses,
I've seen it at
but
some
I
point.
can't see it.
And I got glasses with the Blu-ray, but no, I haven't cracked
3
those open.
begins a trilogy of Jason fucking with people on the shitter.
That is kind of true, isn't it?
It's very true.
It's great.
Because he does-
The guy who plays Jason.
More
it's
than a
great
trilogy.
Jason.
It goes all the way up to 5.
Richard Brooker plays Jason
It's
in
great,
3.
great Jason in 3.
It's written by Martin Kittrosser, who writes Part 4 also, and he wrote Meatballs Part 2, Silent Night, Deadly Night 5.
And actually, if you watch 3, it shouldn't be called Friday the 13th. It should be called Saturday the 14th because it's the day after 2. Which was
Oh, it
Friday
is.
the 13th.
That's right.
So it's technically Saturday the 14th.
But this is where he acquires the mask also, so that's a pretty big.
Yeah, and the crossbow into the eye kill.
Yeah, that was something else.
Three's one of my favorites.
3's up there for me too. But 4 is probably like right at the top for me. I don't know why. This is the one I probably watched first. Does that sound right? Like I would have watched this before any of the other ones.
Yeah, the first one wasn't my first one. I can't tell you what my first Friday the 13th was, but it wasn't the original.
Mine was 8.
Wow.
But I'm guessing this one's up there for you for Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman. Well, there's a lot of things. The director did a lot of Chuck Norris movies. His name's Joseph Zito. So that might have something to do with it. But
Crispin Glover.
This is Tom Savini, isn't it? The special effects. Because he plays.
Tom Savini. What one did he start on? Was it 2? He was on 2, wasn't he? Or 1? Was he on 1?
I don't know.
Yeah,
about that. I thought
isn't-
this was, for some reason, I thought this was the first one he was
I
on.
don't think this is his entry into it.
But
he was in one of the originals.
He actually
He did
plays
in one of the
Jason
originals.
in one of the scenes.
Are you sure?
I don't think it's 1.
Is that 2 then?
I didn't look that deep into the
I don't know.
special effects.
We're running. We're just running.
I wanted to keep this episode short, so I didn't go.
Yeah,
I didn't even know we were going
Well,
episode.
I didn't go into detail.
Yeah, I didn't know we were going episode.
Well, this is
to
the first.
episode.
This is the first. You got the Corey Feldman. This is the first introduction of Tommy Jarvis. The other reason I like this movie a lot is Crispin Glover's dance scene and death scene are both fucking awesome.
This one has a lot of good death scenes.
It even starts off with like a brutal hacksaw scene, but I fucking love this one.
This is one of the ones too where I think, other than Tommy, in the franchise, this is one of the few I think the characters are actually memorable.
The
At
dance
least-
scene's horrible.
I love that. It doesn't make
God,
sense.
I want to just push her out the window.
At least with like Teddy Bear and Jimbo, like this is one of the few that I think has quite a memorable cast as far as the characters go.
Now, this is something I want to... Tommy Jarvis is played by Corey Feldman in this movie. And then he's played by fucking Tom Matthews later on. Do you see? Could you see that being the like he turns into that
When you add the guy from Part 5 into the middle, I think he's a good link. That's sarcasm.
But speaking of Part 5, let's see here. Tom Morga plays Jason. Does anybody even remember anybody other than fucking Kane Hodder as playing Jason? Is there one that you remember other than him?
Well, I just commented on it.
Yeah.
The guy from 3.
I mean,
Yeah.
but, like I don't know, names never stick in my head for these
No,
guys.
not names.
I forgot how much I enjoyed this one.
Part 5?
Yeah.
Most kills in the series out of it,
Yeah.
of all the movies.
Except for X.
I really like to see that dude from.
Yeah, he blows up a space station. That's a
X
whole
has, like-
civilization.
Well, Jesus Christ.
That's thousands.
Come on.
I got.
But this movie has fucking the Miguel Nunez Jr., who's in Return of the Living Dead.
He gets killed on the shitter.
Yeah, he does get killed on the shitter, but I think he did Return of the Living Dead after this, so it's like they must have, because he's basically the same dude, right? Like he's kind of like a punk. His name's Demon in this.
Yeah.
He's kind of like
Yeah, he only has one character.
Yeah, I know 5 isn't always people's
And
favorites.
who's the director? Because the director of this was a porn director,
Oh, was he?
which is where you get why this has the most nudity of the Friday the 13th,
I've
as well as the most kills. I don't care about no spaceship.
I've also heard that 5 got cut up bad. Like a lot of the kills in this one were way better than what made it to the theater. Because with 1, if I remember reading right, well, they got a lot of stuff through in 1 because the censors weren't really paying attention, and then it got so popular. They rode Friday the 13th hard. But I guess the punk rock girl with the weird haircut dancing, I heard that her kill was brutal, and it's all but cut out of the movie. And then the lady getting the hedge clippers to the eyes, I heard that was way worse.
Speaking of her name was Deborah Voorhees, and I looked her up. She's a fine actress. She's got a real future out there for her.
but yeah, I heard this one's one of the biggest shames when it came to the censors and what they did. But I know it gets a lot of flack because of fake Jason.
Well, and again, it's not Jason. It's who done it? Who's who?
Yeah.
But as Jason Goes to Hell will teach you, Jason is everybody, and everyone must die.
The other thing I really like about 5 is it's where some of the cheesy, memorable one-liners from movies that I always quoted started coming in. Like you got the one that always jumps in my head is the guy snorting coke in his car, waiting for Lana to come out, and he's like, "The weather is sunny in the valley, bubbly in the hills, and snow flurries up my nose." But it's where they start getting a little cheesy with.
Yeah.
Purposely
Director, by the
cheesy.
way, you asked this a while ago. Directed by Danny Steinman was the name.
So maybe look up some of his other stuff, Frank. See if you like it.
He did the unseen version from 1980. So
And he did porn.
yeah, some of the best camera work in that movie also. Now, the part 6, Jason Lives, written and directed by Tom McLaughlin, who you may remember from One Dark Night.
What'd you laugh for?
Just because we're still going.
We're going at a speed I can't keep up.
This is where we have Tom Matthews as Tommy, and also the dude that's with him at the beginning. Do you know who that is? Fucking Horseshack from
Goddard?
Yeah, from Welcome Back,
Yeah.
Kotter. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, and this is the one that when I'm watching these in order and I get to this, I'm like, what the fuck is Jason? Because my kids have watched pieces of these with me, and they're like, is he a zombie? I'm like, no, I don't.
By 6, yes. In
But
6.
I figured he was probably either like a Frankenstein or a ghoul, and I don't really know what a ghoul is.
When I was on Spook Lights, the other guy that was on there, Matthew St. Cyr, he wrote an article. I can't remember what horror magazine. Matthew, if you watch, link the article. He has a really good article about the whole franchise and how it kind of lines up as overlapping trilogies. like 1, 2, and 3, I think, as more standard slashers, and in 3 he gets the mask that leads into 4, 5, and 6, which becomes the Tommy Jarvis trilogy. But 6 kind of leads into like a 6, 7, and 8 of Undead Jason, and so there's kind of a trilogy where it's more creature feature feeling. And 6 is we're on 6 right now. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
6 is one of my top 2. Because I love where they turned him into more of a
Comedy.
not comedy, but creature.
Tongue in cheek.
Yeah, and it's got a creature feature feel. He's more of a Frankenstein than a zombie, but he's turned into a movie monster.
Yeah,
and he's not just a slasher killer anymore. He's a movie monster.
There's a lot of things that I thought were weird about this one though. There's the James Bond thing at the beginning. I don't know why they did that. Does anybody have any? Was there a James Bond movie coming out at the same time?
Maybe, but just tongue in cheek.
But this is the first time there's actually kids at the camp. No, there's never fucking kids there.
Yeah.
And up to this point, and I don't know if there's any after this really.
Yeah, I always thought the James Bond intro thing showed that they were really embracing him as a like
anti-hero.
Yeah, like they know you're rooting for Jason. So they like you would in a monster movie where you want the monster.
Yeah. The one thing that I want everybody out there to do is there's a song that they play in this movie, and this girl just wants to fuck to it. Like she's really into it. This is a challenge to anyone who's got a significant other. Just play it. It's you can look it up, and I'll play a little piece of it here.
It's got a good rhythm. It's got a good tempo to it.
It's called "I'm No Animal" by Felony, and I fucking promise you, if you're getting intimate with your special somebody and you play this song, it's going to be a wild time. One way or the other. I mean, something's gonna happen. Yeah, and this is one of the things that caught my. They're all over the place in this movie. And at one point, the deputy calls the sheriff and says that they found all these kids and somebody's done them all in using Jason's MO. What the fuck would that be? Because he kills people in like a million different ways. There's no one thing that he does that would be the MO. What would it be?
Just killing people,
just dismantling people. But yeah, there was a lot of firsts in that. First time for him to they had the paintball crew, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, there was a high body count in that one too.
And this is where they chained him to the bottom of the lake. And one of the coolest things about that is someone actually fucking did that shit someplace, wherever the hell that was. One of the coolest fucking creepy things you can do in life. Here we are.
So they chained the real Jason Voorhees to the bottom of a lake. They fought him, and
they bought the real guy. Yeah, that's why Kane Hodder doesn't do movies anymore. Now we're on to 7, The New Blood from 1988.
This is the first to Kane Hodder, right? Yeah, it's his first appearance.
Yep. This one I've always had a bit of a problem with. The telekinetic shit bothers me. I don't think it should be there, but whatever. It's still a pretty solid Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, I like it. I thought it's fun. I mean, by 6, I think they knew they were going to have to do something different than the standard.
Carrie versus Jason.
Yeah, kind of. Or the Firestarter.
Yeah, so I mean, they're running with it. I always liked the psychiatrist in this one.
Well, you know who
Bernie.
that is, right? Yeah,
Weekend at Bernie's.
Terry Crews from fucking Weekend at Bernie's, man. That caught me off guard.
I always thought he was really good in this.
That made me like it a little bit more than I remember. This is also where the sleeping bag kill scene came from that is referenced in the wonderful Jason X.
Yeah, iconic.
Yeah.
That's iconic.
You can really tell, though, Kane Hodder is fucking violent, man. Like, his kills are... They are a lot... And that's why they said they didn't cast him for Freddy versus Jason, was because it was so violent, the way he killed people.
Yeah, I think some of the fight scenes towards the end ended up being... Kane Hodder was in on the planning of them because they had stuff planned, and he's like, no, I think this would happen. No, him falling through the stairs, I think that was his choice. He's like, no, I'd crush down through, and so he was really, I'm guessing, he was probably more involved as a Jason on what Jason's doing more than any other.
Oh, yeah, I would assume. Real dumb ending on 7, though, where the father comes back and saves the daughter. Just a lot of unnecessary supernatural shit that isn't in the world of Jason Voorhees that as far as I'm concerned. But who am I, you know?
I'm a fan of 9, so gloves off is fine with me.
Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Jared's
My first
entrance into this. I like this a lot more watching it this time than I ever have.
What year was this?
This was 1989. So
You watched this in the theater?
No.
I remember renting this
Probably not. You've been 8.
brand new.
I'd have been 8. I watched this one at my cousin's house. They had HBO.
There you
And I think it was right when it hit HBO. So however long things take to get out of the theater to HBO, I'm guessing this one's a quick one. This and The Unnameable. They're the first 2 horror movies I ever watched. Not just my first Friday the 13th, but between this and Unnameable, I can't remember which we watched first. We watched them back to back. Those were the first 2 horror movies I ever sat down and watched if you get outside the Universal, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman.
Hell of a double feature.
So, so this one... I've had a lot of people yell at me because I'm like, no, I love it, but
People get real upset about that, about these movies.
It is, especially when I watched it again. It's bad, and the poster, it should have been called Jason Takes Manhattan because he doesn't really take Manhattan. It should be Jason on a boat.
Yeah, it's not. It's not in Manhattan.
Well, that's because the producer fucking came up with the idea of take Jason someplace, so let's take him to New York. And then they didn't give him the budget that they needed to shoot at all the fucking places for the time they needed, you know?
This one kind of breaks continuity in time. This was one of the first ones, like...
Do you know what year this was supposed to be placed in? 2002.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So how's that? Where's that? Does that make more sense?
It doesn't, actually. But all the way up till 7, they had kept somewhat of a continuity in the timeline. This one just kind of to that.
Why is it 2 fucking hours long? That's what I don't understand. Because this is a long bitch.
And him, the end, the sewer water turning him into a little boy.
Weird.
That's just... There are things I do like about it. I miss the 80s, that late 80s aesthetic of, like...
crispy bangs.
When like you'd go to New York and there were just barrels of toxic waste on every corner.
People shooting up heroin in the alleys.
Yeah, like in RoboCop, the dude gets dumped into a bed. Like when in New York where there's just large barrels of green toxic waste sitting
with
around.
like rats crawling around them.
I enjoy movies with that aesthetic. So for all this movie's many faults, I have a sentimental attachment.
There is a near rape scene in this movie where I don't know if I saw this right or not, but it appeared to me that the scummy dude shot this girl up with heroin and then was gonna fuck her. And then Jason comes in. And then this woman runs away. Like, she's got all of her wits about her to get away. But I swear to God, he shot her up with heroin. If you saw something different, let me know, because I would like to know.
This one was also Kane Hodder dressed as Jason on Arsenio Hall.
Yep.
Which is... It wasn't a
good idea.
It's a really good idea, but I feel like no one actually bothered to, like, if you watch it, I don't think anyone actually thought about writing anything to make it a good idea. They're just like, well, just dress him up and bring him out, like, you know, whatever, and we'll do something. And then they get out there and they don't. There is no something. They don't do
The
anything.
only thing they could have had him do though would be kill somebody, and they can't really do that on TV.
You can.
yeah, certainly.
People die on TV all the time.
Well, I guess that's true. You could tame it down. There's a really long punching scene in this on the.
Well,
roof.
that's part of the reason it's 2 hours long. Is
Yeah.
the fight scene is.
This dude is just punching Jason, and it's the same sound effect over and over and over and over again for about 2-3 minutes.
There is payoff though, because when the head flies off the buildings and then rolls down into the dumpster and makes it shut the lid.
Oh,
that's class right there.
Yeah. There's a part at the end where Kane Hodder.
Spending lots of time on this one.
Well, yeah, I got a lot of things to say.
We ran 1 through 7 in 13 minutes, and then doing 13 minutes on Takes Manhattan.
Well, just one more thing. There is a really cool thing if you know that it was just
Know which
what
one
happened.
Frank likes.
Oh, this one's all right. But Kane Hodder vomits water out at the end of this movie, like, you know, he's drowning or whatever. Vomits water out. That was really him just throwing up. I don't think it was on purpose. From the notes I read, it just kind of fucking happened.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for that.
Little possibly.
Just one more
true.
thing. He really threw up.
And by the way,
Well, let's go on.
Jason Goes to Hell
Oh shit!
is a good movie.
Nice.
Bologna cake. Bologna
Nice. This is it's a fun
cake. Bologna cake.
movie.
It's a fun slice of bologna cake.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, so tell me what happens, Jared. Tell me what they blow him up at the beginning.
Yeah, so they start off with a sting. The FBI, is it? Or the Army, somebody. They're coming in. Some task force is coming in. Girl's pretending just to be a regular camper. Turns out she's a part of some task force. They trick him. The soldiers all come out. They blow him to shit. They take his remains for the autopsy. The coroner is going over and is tempted by the beating heart of Jason to take a bite because apparently he's some kind of parasite, the evil in him.
Yeah,
And so taking a bite of the heart turns him into like the evil spirit of Voorhees, and then he needs to, as Creighton Duke says, through a Voorhees was he born, through a Voorhees may he die, and only through a Voorhees may he be reborn. He has to find a Voorhees woman to be reborn through, and only a Voorhees woman can kill him. And so there's a remaining Voorhees person no one knows about. She has a baby with a dude who she's not with anymore. And
all this time, I'm like,
there's
is
the chase.
Jason a zombie? Is Jason a ghoul? Is he a Frankenstein? Turns out, just a little tiny worm guy.
I love it.
That's all it is.
They add a whole Lovecraftish mythos, the Necronomicons in it, with the evil dagger that can kill him. It's a creature feature. It's not. It feels like a Full Moon Productions movie to me.
I thought it was a little better than that. A little better than that.
What a higher budget.
Well, here's the whole scene that I'm thinking of where I say that. When he spits the fucking thing into the one dude's mouth, the sheriff spits the fucking Jason Voorhees worm into the TV show host's mouth. That or whatever, that dude melts, and it's like one of the coolest fucking things that.
I guess I wasn't talking effects, story-wise.
Story-wise, this is all over the place.
Story-wise, it feels like a Full Moon movie.
Yeah, okay.
To me, story-wise, and on top of that, it has a fantastic anti-hero bounty hunter. Like I'd have watched Creighton Duke movies.
See, just like Tommy Jarvis, when he was trying to take down Jason, this dude has all this information out of his ass. I don't know where he's getting all this lineage bullshit. Just like I don't know where Tommy Jarvis knows that he has to fucking die in the lake. Where's this coming from?
Because he's Creighton Duke, man. He breaks people's fingers in order to tell them stuff.
Yeah, why did he do that again?
For no reason. Because he's an awesome character.
Yeah. The one thing, my biggest question is like, okay, he needs a Voorhees to come back to life. The worm crawls up his Jason's dead sister's skirt, assumedly into her vagina, and then just emerges a fully dressed man, boots, mask.
That's the one spot that gets you.
That's the biggest thing, because I want to see that process. They didn't show it. They just showed that part and then him coming out of the hole. So
they gave you what you needed.
This, of course, has the whole Freddy Krueger glove coming out of the earth and pulling the mask down, which sent the world on fire. Because I remember years.
Had to wait like 11 years.
People just talking out of their ass about all this Freddy vs. Jason movie that's coming. And
it did.
It did. But there was like, I heard the Leprechaun was going to be in it.
It changed a lot too.
And it's still going on.
Ash was going to be in it.
Yeah.
They did actually do a comic book with Ash and Freddy vs. Jason.
Where we at? Are we on Freddy vs. Jason?
That's next.
We're on Jason X is where I'm
Oh,
at.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They did X.
Oh, yeah, they
Now,
did that. didn't
for
they?
me,
Oh, another thing about 9. The reason he was a worm through the whole thing, the people that they got to make it were kind of new to the whole thing. And Sean Cunningham specifically told the writers, I got a flashing battery. I don't know if that means anything. Sean Cunningham specifically told the writers, get that hockey mask off his face. So that's how they went about that. That was a Sean Cunningham kind of decision and how they went from it. So on to 10.
okay, before we get into this, let's just play the trailer. I'll do some production shit, and then we'll come right back and talk about this shit.
In the year 2455, on a routine training mission, a team of students is about to discover a life form frozen in time.
They're on their way back. Prepare for docking and power up the lab.
You brought him on board?
Everything's under control, ma'am.
What the hell is going on?
Jason Voorhees, that's what's going on. He's an unstoppable killing machine.
Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back.
How do we get off the ship?
I don't know. Look, we're gonna be all right.
What? Are you high?
Uh-oh.
He's here. You have got to get them out of there.
Hey, Slappy.
I think we're finally okay.
What the hell is that?
You've got to be kidding me. Oh, wow.
He's been modified. Oh, you think? You guys might want to run. I don't think he's out there.
Why don't you just stick your head out and have a peek?
On to Jason X.
Jason X.
We're in space. Anytime they go to space, I'm about it. I like all the space movies. Leprechaun in space is awesome. Critters in space, also awesome.
Bloodlines, Hellraiser.
I haven't seen that. It's probably good.
Pinhead in space.
I was never really big on Hellraiser, so
I'm not either.
I don't know why.
People love it, but I
like the first 3 a lot.
Anyway,
anyways,
Jason X.
This movie is a real thing. Probably the best part about it is the extreme violence. I love that frozen head smashing sequence. I thought it was cool seeing David Cronenberg for a minute.
This movie is just New Line having Jason Goes to Hell, which we didn't actually say, is the first New Line cinema. It's why it's not Friday the 13th. Paramount still owns, I think, the rights to the name Friday
it's
the
a
13th.
mess.
The
It's a
reboot
mess.
is released on both.
But
both-
yeah,
from
because
both companies.
because Paramount owns the name, but Sean Cunningham owns the character, which he's in a lawsuit with the
It's a mess.
original writer. But
It's all a mess.
Jason Goes to Hell, first of the New Line. Jason X, I think it's clear they just don't know. They got no idea what they're gonna do.
Yeah, this is some weird shit. There's things I like about this a lot. I like the guy that plays the main professor, Professor Lowe. Found out that he's the voice of Link from the Legend of Zelda cartoons in the 80s, so that's a little thing I like. I like that. A lot of homages, mostly to fucking...
A lot of what?
Homages? Say it. Say the homage.
Call it, yeah.
We're going with homage.
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 Homage, I think.
Yeah, it's like French for cheese.
A lot of homages.
But mostly they're paying tribute to Alien, a little bit of Doom because they mention a BFG, and all the characters in this were named after Todd Farmer. I believe he's the writer.
They were all named Todd Farmer.
No, they were named after.
It gets real confusing.
Todd Farmer's EverQuest friends. So like he's playing EverQuest online. He's like, hey guys, guess what? I'm doing a new Jason movie. You guys are in it.
This to me, it's of course it's bad.
Yep.
It's just bad. But if you go in under the right circumstances, it feels like the Sci-Fi Channel got to make a Friday the 13th.
That's true.
I enjoy Sharknado. I enjoy Ghost Shark. I enjoy Sci-Fi Channel originals, Piranhaconda. So there is a side to me that enjoys this movie for the just bad.
Yeah, the first time I watched this movie, I didn't like it at all. And then I've watched it 2 or 3 times since. But knowing what it is, I'm able to have fun with it. It's entertaining now, but the first time I watched it, I hated it.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I'll argue for Jason Goes to Hell. Some people will say the same about it. But you cannot watch this as like I feel like watching a Friday the 13th, a really scary Jason.
No, this ain't one you put in.
No, this is when you want a Sci-Fi Channel movie.
Of course, I think it kind of just is like a big fart in the general direction of science fiction.
Yeah. Well, they parody Friday the 13th a lot too. They do the over the top sleeping bag kills.
Yeah,
with
the virtual
naked
reality
girls.
sequence is fantastic.
Like, hey, let's get naked and have sex. Like, I mean, it's just
They had no idea. New Line Cinema had no idea what they were doing
at all.
Why did they turn him into Super Shredder? I don't know why that happened. But I could watch a whole fucking movie about that cyborg, that badass cyborg. What's her name? KM14. And honestly, there's a lot of decent CGI in this fucking movie.
And despite what anybody says, it is the largest body count because he kills a whole space station.
Whatever.
Thousands.
Yeah.
I really only count 1 through 8 anyway.
They're the only Friday the 13th.
And well, we'll get further into it.
Yeah,
very campy. Very campy.
The thing that made me laugh the hardest in this whole movie is the dude that is like the scientist that's dealing with that cyborg. He brings her out upgraded or whatever, and he says, "I gave her an upload." Gave her an upload.
It's the last Kane Hodder too, right?
Yeah, this is.
Well, what a one to go out on.
Well, he could have been in Freddy vs. Jason. He offered to do it, but they're like, "You're too short." And you're too violent. He's
not a tall man. I think Robert Englund's taller than him.
They wanted there to be a David versus Goliath kind of thing happening.
Kane Hodder's too short?
Yeah. He's only really like 4 or 5 inches shorter than the guy that than Derek Mears. Or not Derek Mears.
Well, how about that?
Whoever Ken Kurtzinger. But anyways, Freddy vs. Jason. This movie, I thought I liked this a little bit more than I do, but this movie to me is like, I wrote it down. It's the naked chicken chalupa of Friday the 13th movies, because it takes 2 things: Nightmare on Elm Street, which would be chicken, and then Friday the 13th, which would be the chalupa, and then just mashes them together.
I don't get what you're saying.
I was trying to make a reference to a fight that you guys had about chicken.
Oh, I remember. Let me just make this point. There's one thing that stays on the menu. There's one thing that comes, well, that didn't do as good as what we thought it was going to do, so we're going to get rid of it. I'll just leave it at that.
Uh-oh. There we go. But this movie was directed by Ronnie Yu.
I'm staying off the chalupa.
That's kind of the way this movie is, too.
I thought it was either that kind of thing, or maybe the Baja Blast Mountain Dew. Maybe it's kind of like that of movies.
I
like Baja.
I'm not saying this movie couldn't have been better, because it probably couldn't have, but fan expectation, I don't think you can deliver.
I wrote down some things.
You don't think what?
I don't think you can deliver on a Freddy versus Jason.
I wrote down some things that could have made it better.
I liked it on my rewatch. I liked it more than what I remembered watching the first time. I thought the way they brought them back with Freddy trying to scare kids again, so he gets Jason. I think that's probably the best route you could have went. It's a really good idea. I even think the nightmare sequences.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's better than half of
The
Paramount movies.
The argument I always heard people say on it's the WWF style fight at the end makes it
it's
too
ridiculous.
Makes it too cheesy.
It's like a stunt show. That's what I thought it looked like. He was like,
But
watching
it's
one of those
lose-lose.
stunt shows.
It's lose-lose.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you get hammered for not delivering on the Freddy vs. Jason showdown. If you do it, all of a sudden you realize it's a Freddy vs. Jason showdown.
Yeah,
like there's no. So I think for what it is, not that it couldn't be better, but it's probably about as good as what you could do.
Reading there's so much fucking trivia for this movie. Reading through that, here's some things I picked up on that could have made it better. Kane Hodder did offer to be Jason. Hire him. He's the fucking dude. They even offered it to one of the old dudes who played Jason in the past, but he said, "You guys are fucking over Kane. I don't think I'm going to do that." You know, that kind of situation. The movie was offered to Rob Zombie and Peter Jackson. Either one of them probably would have did a little bit better. The original script featured Tommy Jarvis portrayed by Jason Bateman, but it was cut out because the script was too long. You don't fucking cut out Tommy Jarvis. You cut out one of these. You cut out Destiny's Child. You cut out fucking one of these other people. Yeah, and then stick to the fucking mythology at least a little bit. They act like Jason's afraid of water. He's been swimming around in it like he's fucking Ariel in The Little Mermaid through all these rest of these movies.
Yeah, but you got to go with that because the fire and water thing.
Unless you just don't touch on that at all. I mean, but evidently there was a big hubbub for when Kelly Rowland calls Freddy a faggot. Do you remember that part?
Yeah,
she says so, and
I guess I didn't think anything of it.
She said it, and then the world lit on fire, and the writers backed away from it, and they're like, "We didn't write that shit." So there was a big conflict there. There was evidently also conflict with they wanted that chick who's in Ginger Snaps to be naked, and she said she signed an agreement that said she's not going to be naked, and the director kept going, "But you'll be naked then, right?" And then she's like, "No." And there was a big fight on set. They had to bring in a body double for that shower scene. There is a lot of good kills in this, but like I said, man, wow.
Yeah, I didn't when I first watched it. I didn't like it. I shut it off. It came out right around a time I wasn't watching a lot of stuff. I was kind of disappointed with horror movies, and I watched it, and I was like, on the rewatch, it was a lot better than what I remembered watching it. I really enjoyed it on the rewatch. I thought the idea tying them together was really good. I thought the nightmare sequences were better than some of the stuff in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, especially the recent stuff. There's two really standout sequences for me. It's the rave scene where Jason hilariously twists that dude's head backwards in front of his friend. He's like, ah!
You got to keep that mic in front of you.
And then there's the scene where Freddy turns into the evil caterpillar and possesses the stoner guy. But when it starts going downhill for me is the pinball Jason sequence where it looks like a Looney Tunes shit. And then after that, I'm just not into it.
You can't watch this movie expecting anything else but entertainment, fun. If you're expecting either one of these movies, a Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, no, it's going to be garbage.
Yeah, this was long past either of those two franchises not just going off the rails.
And I think I've heard that there were several different scripts to this movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that it actually finally got made was...
Yeah, I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street brought themselves back with New Nightmare, but even that was about Nightmare on Elm Street being shot and it happening in real life, which Wes Craven's just good, but that's also a ridiculous idea.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so these franchises, I mean, you're not going to get Friday the 13th Part 4 mixed with Nightmare on Elm Street 1 in the year 2000 and whatever when you do Freddy vs. Jason.
I just thought that the ending was like so inconsequential. It doesn't fucking matter ultimately at all. Whether which person wins or loses, they do just blow it out the butthole the whole last half hour. So if you want to see a lot of action, fucking go for it. Let's talk about the reboot from 2009.
I'm glad you said reboot.
I'm
glad.
I didn't think it seemed. Well, they cover like the first three movies right off the bat. Like And the weird
Right, but
thing,
then it goes into the present day.
yeah, well, and that's
But
right
people
af-
still say remake.
After they encapsulate the first 3 movies, then they finally show the title card for the fucking movie. Like,
Yeah,
25
it
minutes
is.
in.
It is as long.
Yeah,
I seen this in the theater, and no, my first viewing of this movie, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't.
I saw it with my brother, and I was almost like to the point where I was pissed walking out of the theater. But again, I've watched it a couple of times since then, and it has really good kills in it.
Oh, yeah.
It looks good.
I was really surprised with how much I liked it, especially after I saw it was done by the same dude that did the Texas Chainsaw remake. But then looking back on that, I like that now more than
Michael Bay.
Was it Michael? He was the producer. It was directed by Marcus Nispel, who did a lot of music videos, including All for One, Faith No More, Bush.
that may be another reason why people think of it as remake is Michael Bay.
When I first watched it, it had already came out on DVD.
Right.
But I shut it off. The first watch, I shut it off and didn't watch it again until last year. I shut it off by the time I seen he was having a hostage. I was just like,
yeah, that's really out of character. Fuck that shit.
That was the very first thing I said when I walked out of the theaters. He don't take hostages.
He has no humanity like that.
I will say the first opening sequence with Jason, where the guys are looking for weed, that is 10 and 15 minutes of some of the best.
Yeah, I really
Friday
like
the
seeing
13th.
the dude from Superstore. Do you watch Superstore? It's the main character from NBC Superstore or whatever.
I don't know what that is, but I wish they would. I wish they would have stuck with that first group of people throughout the whole movie.
It's like when they do the revamp on the sleeping bag scene, hanging it over the tree. Like even when I watched it the first time, I was excited watching that part because I was like, "This is some of the best Friday the 13th I've ever seen." Now the rest of the movie on the rewatch, the hostage thing always gets a little, but.
There's an actress in this movie. Her name is Juliana Gill. And I'll tell you what, she's got a great, bright future ahead of her. And
the rest of the movie, it's not. On the rewatch, I liked it. I like it now.
I was really surprised how much I liked this.
It's not great. It's still not in one of my. It's still not in one of my tops. Saying all this, when we actually rank them, I know we're not going to rate them. I had them rated. I think my lowest rating, other than Jason X, which is a 5. Yeah, like my lowest rankings are 6s. All of these movies for me are 6 through 10. Most of them are 7 through 10. So when I'm talking about my least favorite of the franchise, I hold these movies in very high regard. So I like this movie. It's not one of my it's down towards the bottom of my list, but it's still good.
If the Michael Bay thing turns you off about watching this, just think about this. He walked out of the premiere because there was too much sex. So look at it as a big fuck you to Michael Bay. The last thing we watched was a fan film called Never Hike Alone. This is basically just a dude doing extreme hiking. He says that the hiking he's doing is got to be done by intermediate to advanced. But then he just runs into the woods like a madman. So I don't know if it's just how he hikes this extreme and a little bit you got to be advanced, or if I could amble through these trails.
You probably should. You probably shouldn't do
this
it.
being a fan film, it's put together and looks better than most Friday the 13th.
It's better than half of these in the series.
For me,
and it also shows New Line Cinema. Get your thumb out of your ass. Look how you could almost say it's an hour long. Never Hike Alone. You could almost say it's almost kind of just a long scene in a movie, but it shows you how just be simple. Keep it simple, and the fans will love it. Like the fans love this movie. I want more of these movies.
For me, it breaks the one rule the one thing you have to have when you do a Friday the 13th.
On the shitter.
There's no body count. I went 45 minutes.
Right.
and
Yeah,
didn't
that's
see
what I said.
Jason
It's
kill
kind of just like one long scene.
I seen a lot of people love this. I wish it was 20 minutes long. Like the ending and just a little of the beginning. Like it's way too long for me. By the time I was a half hour, 40 minutes in, I was like, no one's even going to die. I'm tired of watching this. This is ridiculous. I don't watch Jason stuff to watch him not kill people. I think you go back every other, like their body count, no other franchise, even getting rid of the Jason X space station, just the regular body count kills you see. Halloween, Nightmare, Chainsaw, no one touches the body count per movie. Like those franchises' high movie body counts are... This is low.
I agree with you, but
and so it really burns.
You do have to take a step back, and it is what it is. It's a fan made film.
Yeah, I just watched it too the other night, so that was my first. So I'm still fresh on a very first experience. So, and I won't lie, the no body count it burned me.
Well, the biggest thing to be it should show all these big time movie companies. New Line Cinema, whoever has the freaking rights to the movie. Just how simple. If a fan could do it on basically no budget and come out with something that everyone likes, just add a little bit more money to it, throw in some more bodies.
Just throw in
but
bodies.
Just keep it simple.
Yeah.
It's fairly easy formula to a Friday.
It looks really good.
It's easy.
And the Jason in it is...
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm fresh on it. I never even heard of it. It's new to me. I just watched it, and I was like, 40 minutes, and he hadn't killed anybody yet.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way, but it was better than shit. By the time I went through the new line roundup there at the end, I was ready for something different, you know.
Last time I did a full marathon, I did one through the reboot in 6 days. And by the time I got to Jason X and the reboot, things were starting to get squishy.
Yeah, but we did rank these. Do you want to start at 13 and go down, see how we do it, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, do we want to go through one at a time, or do you want to go start at your least favorites and each of us say our least favorites, and then...
No, let's just rattle off the list.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't. Yeah.
Did you? Cool. Yeah. The last one I have is Freddy vs. Jason. I just don't like it. I don't know why, man. I thought I liked it. I liked it a lot.
What? Freddy vs. Jason?
Yeah, it's like it's like too much. It's like.
See, you sure you don't want to go through 13? Yeah. That way we can argue a little bit over.
Well, what'd you have last?
I think we should argue.
Jason Goes to Hell.
Okay.
Well, I mean, are we? Well, I didn't rank Never Hike Alone in with
throw Never. I did. Because Frank told me to. Get where you'd put it. And
okay. All right, I can do that. Yeah. So my last movie is Jason Goes to Hell.
Right. My last one was Never Hike Alone.
I went number 12. I had 7 because that telekinesis. Shit, my words.
Telekinesis.
Hey, man, what was the
telekinesis? The telekinesis was a homage. Carrie.
It's a homage. Yep.
Hey, there's a homage to
Carrie
telekinesis
versus Jason homage.
So what did you have then? I had 7.
I have Part 8, Manhattan.
X is my number 12.
My number 11 is Jason Goes to Hell.
Jason X.
Reboot.
My number 10 is Never Hike Alone.
Never Hike Alone as well for me.
Freddy vs. Jason.
My number 9 is Jason X.
I got the Friday the 13th reboot, 2009.
Part 8. Takes Manhattan.
Number 8 is the reboot.
I feel like I messed something up here.
Well, you inserted Never Hike Alone.
Yeah, but I'm still on number 8. Anyways, let's go. Number 8.
I had the reboot.
Part 5, New Beginning.
I know someone this is probably going to upset, but mine is Part 2. I know you're unhappy about it.
I had Part 8 at number 7.
Part 7. At 7.
7 at 7 as well.
And this is gonna
We agree on one.
This one's gonna
Right there.
This one's gonna ruffle some feathers. The original Friday the 13th is right here at number 6 for me.
That's a little pack. That's not bad.
It's not bad.
Freddy vs. Jason at number 6.
Number 5, A New Beginning, is my number 6.
I had A New Beginning at number 5.
Part 3, number 5.
Yeah, we're in the top 5s. Jason Goes to Hell made it in my top 5 at number 5.
Number 4, I had Part 2.
Part 6.
The original.
Number 3, I had Part 3.
Part 4.
3.
Number 2, that's Final Chapter.
Part 2. At 2.
Jason Lives, part 6.
And my number 1 is Jason Lives, Part 6.
Friday the 13th, the original, 1980. Number 1.
Yeah, and
Mine's the Final Chapter.
And I had rated all of these, so I did of course give
I still feel like
the original Friday the 13th a 10 just based on it being, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it, you know. You could probably skip any of the other ones, really.
Yeah, 1 and 2. I have it 1 and 2. The original, I don't care if it's his mom that's the killer. It's the atmosphere, it's the kills themselves, the characters, the campground, the woods, the
music.
I just love everything
Henry
about that.
Manfredini, or however you say his name, with the
really does a job.
Yeah, I watched him interviewed, and I never knew it until last year. But the iconic, it's Kill and Mom. He either sampled himself saying it, Kill Mommy, or he took it out of the movie. But it's not it's not CHCHAH.
I see.
It's KIMO for Kill Mommy, because of the very first one is where that came from. So a little bit of trivia. But to give you an idea on my rankings, 6 and 4 are my top 2, or 4 and 6 is 4 is 1, 6 is 2. I rated them. Those are both 10s for me. Those movies are 10s, and even Jason Goes to Hell down at number 5. That's an 8.
Yeah, I enjoy all of these movies.
Yeah, it's
Jason Hell's the bottom for me. I enjoy that just basically to watch it and see how bad it really is. But no, obviously the first is a 10 for me. Always will be. One of my favorite movies ever. Jason Goes to Hell is probably still at a 5. So I mean, you got a franchise that goes
3 and 1,
10 to 5. That's pretty good.
And talking about just the whole as a franchise, I don't think any of the other franchises ever. None of them delivered as many.
We'll figure that out someday, won't we?
None of them delivered as many good movies as this one did.
Yeah, I gave Jason Lives a 10. I gave the Final Chapter a 10, and the original a 10. So that's 3 10s out of it.
Yeah, one is my number 4, and that one's still a 9. So, but yeah, like I think if you would rank all of, like, mix them all in together, Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, the originals of Halloween and Nightmare would be obviously right at the top of the list. But after you get past the first couple originals of each of those franchises, like, all of the Friday the 13ths line up the next many for me. Like, I don't think any other franchise put out as many good movies as this one did.
It's a solid franchise. If nothing else, watch the first 3. That's all you can take it from me, huh?
Yeah, the 4th's the best one.
It is
1 through 4 is
but at the very
my
least,
most watched, for sure.
At the very least, watch the first 3. We'll see you next time.
And
guys.
then watch Jason Goes to Hell.